Yo, welcome back to a brand new video here on the second channel, and I just got home from the Louisville Regional Championships, where I ended up playing at Goldango once again, and I ended up unfortunately not making day 2. I was able to finish 5-2-1, top 512, 274th place. I mean, not bad. I ended up getting CP, so, every time I get CP at a regional, I would do one of these tournament report breakdown videos, and yeah, we were able to at least squeak out a bit of CP here at this regional. Unfortunately, not making day 2. I was really hoping to get that 4th day 2 of the year, especially running it back with Goldango. Like, I got top 32 at Knoxville earlier this year with the deck, so I was kind of hoping the deck would do me some justice, but unfortunately was not able to make day 2. It just kind of feels bad with the whole new system. Like, as soon as we'll talk about my report and my run and everything. I ended up starting off the tournament 0-1-1, and I'm like, I literally cannot lose my next 6 rounds or I'm not making day 2, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, I kind of miss being able to just go, like, 6-2, and then you can ID it in the next round, or you can go, like, whatever, 5-2-1, and then you have to win it. And, like, it felt more exhilarating to do that, but it is what it is. We'll talk about my opinions on the system rule change in this video, because I know some pretty interesting things went down this weekend with how people were able to make top 8. Like, if you lost twice in this tournament, you were not making top 8. It's kind of insane. The new system of tournament day 2 stuff needs to be fixed. Not going to lie, it is kind of diabolical. But we're going to talk about my run here and why I decided to play Goldango. Now, of course, I do want to give a big thank you to everybody who came up to me this weekend and said hi, got me to sign something, took a picture with me, or all that good stuff. I really appreciate everyone, once again, for all the support. And it was, just awesome meeting people. I met a lot of cool people this weekend. Always loving meeting people. I want to thank everybody who came up and everything. Just means a lot, and I'm glad I got to meet some of y'all. And yeah, really, really awesome stuff. So yeah, I ended up playing Goldango. Basically, was sold in this deck for, like, the entire, 2 weeks leading up to the tournament. I was like, yeah, you know what? Goldango's my play. I'm not going to lie, bro. I think this format absolutely sucks. I think this format's terrible. And I didn't know what to play, man. I was like, this format is not fun. There's no deck I'm enjoying right now. Then I saw Goldango do well at Dortmund. I played it, and I'm like, okay, not only is this good, but it's fun. And that's all that matters. So I'll talk about my run here, of course, with the deck. So, yeah, pretty similar 60 to what Yella played to Dortmund. I think literally the only change is I cut Jamming Tower for a second Pokestop. I didn't really think Jamming Tower was necessary. I actually didn't. Going through my entire tournament, I don't think it would have came up once the entire tournament. Like, all the Raging Bolts I hit did not play Bravery Charm. So I was like, kind of glad I didn't play Jamming Tower. I was considering playing Temple of Sinnoh or League Headquarters, mainly the Temple of Sinnoh. I was considering Temple, or Enhanced Hammer, but I think this deck needs 2 stadiums. But I was considering like another stadium removal card. That was like another good card for the tournament, because Temple of Sinnoh was going to be something I wanted to run, because I'm like, there's gonna be a lot of Lugia. Actually, my prediction on Lugia wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but it's good into Lugia, and it can come up in Tropicos too, right? So that was my logic. But after all, I was like, Temple of Sinnoh is not very good. I don't think it's needed in here, but I did consider it. But I ended up going with double Pokestop, because it's super good to just have a Pokestop in play when you're trying to constantly snowball, make it range every turn. It just makes it easier to go 2-2-2 when there's a Pokestop in play, when you're like getting Ioned or something like that, or Unfair Stamp. So yeah, the Bibarel's really good, by the way. Like, a lot of people were asking me, like, do you really need Bibarel in this deck? No, Bibarel is broken. This card literally MVPs this deck when you can get it out into play. Like, basically, when you start your game off with a Buddy Poffin, you're always going usually Gimme Ghoul Bidoof, and then maybe benching Palkia or something, or a second Gimme Ghoul, because getting the Bibarel out early is very important to stabilize your board, and it lets you draw cards with a 1-prize board state before you have to put a 2-prizer down. So there's a lot of benefits you get out of Bibarel. Prime Catcher is a great ace spec. I know Hyper Roma is really popular too, but I don't know, man. Prime Catcher is too good. It's like the best card in the deck. Like, it's so good. Just, yeah, it's a very strong card. Yeah, I mean, that's the list. Like I said, it's very similar to Yellow's list. Like, not really got much more to explain, other than the fact that Goldango is in a good spot. 2/6 HP was a very awkward number for some decks to hit. You can single prize board state this deck when you're setting up. You can remove liabilities on the board. Because I guess, like, the one thing I'll talk about was I was not really sold on Turo, but after playing the deck, I was like, no, we are sold on Turo. Turo is insane. Turo is very good. Being able to heal Palkia, being able to heal, pick up Pheasantipity, picking up Goldango, very good into like matchups like Dusknoir decks where they try to set up damage with Dusknoir early on, or really good against Dragapult too. So yeah, Turo is good. That was like the one card I was like kind of unsure of at first, and then after playing the deck for a bit, I was like, nope, Turo is like actually goated. It is the strongest card. I literally think like this could be like the ideal 64 Goldango deck right now, albeit you can swap around the stadiums, but this is like a great 60. This 60 is fire. I think this was a great 60, and I'm glad I ended up going with the deck. Louisville's pretty cool as a city. Hadn't been before. It's kind of cool place. You might kind of hear a little bit of a voice crack or a bit of a rasp in my voice because I was out all night Saturday with all my buddies, going out to the bars and stuff, just having a good time. So yeah, my voice, I might have a voice crack in this video because I lost my voice after Saturday night, bro. I was yelling fiend the entire night. But yeah, this is what I played, and yeah, I think like overall, like my tournament run was kind of cool. Um, and it felt bad because I started the tournament off 0-1-1. We'll talk about that in a minute when I get to my matches and stuff. But it felt bad going 0-1-1 at the start of the tournament. And, like, literally, if I lose one single game or I, like, tie another game, I ain't making day two. That felt so bad. I was like, bro, like, I don't know, man. 8 rounds is definitely interesting. Like, it's a shorter day and it's easier to make day two. But at the same time, it just feels bad when you just have bad beats. Like, it just happens, right? And it's kind of how it went. So, again, in the tournament report here, I'm on pokedata.ovh for anyone's wondering what the website is. And here is my run. So, round one, I hit Rowan. Of course, fellow Canadian Rowan. The first round of the tournament, I hit a regional champion, one of the best players in Canada. Rowan's, a friend of mine. And he was playing Tropicos. Wasn't surprised to see that. He masterclassed, did a masterclass with Kieran on Tropicos leading up to the event. Wasn't surprised to see him on Tropicos. And it did end up ending pretty quick. It was a quick 2-0 from Rowan. Game one, he went first, and I had a pretty bad start. Game two, I went first, and I still ended up having a pretty slow start. Now, that's one thing I'll say about Goldango. The deck is really good when it sets up. The problem is getting to the setup phase can be very difficult because the deck is kind of bricky. And, I mean, after hitting Rowan and the games we had, like, they were very, like, game two was not that much of a game, but game one was a very non-existent game. Like, it was over, like, by the second turn, basically. Game two was a bit better, but, like, still, my start was really trash, and it just gave Rowan time to basically, like, checkmate me almost. Actually, also, Rowan literally Pheasantipitied into Blood Moon, Dusknor, Candy. Like, bro, he literally Fez into the 3 cards to win the game. He took 3 prizes in 1 turn off of Fez, which is crazy. So, yeah, hit Rowan is what it is. Good player, and it was a fun set. Me and Rowan are buddies, so it was cool to still play against him. And then round 2, I hit another friend of mine, Matthew Hill Kent, who's friends with, like, Dom Ritchie and stuff. Also from Canada, so I'm like, bro, what? Why am I hitting Canadians back to back? I'm at a Elite Cup, bro. What? But yeah, Matthew's playing Lugia, which honestly, like, we were testing the night before, and I'm like, Lugia's not a bad matchup. Like, I watched Yella's game on stream against Lugia. I'm like, this matchup is not that bad. It's actually a decent matchup. In fact, Lugia's a good matchup if they don't play Raikou. If they play Raikou, I think it's a little bit sketchier because you go Palkia, then they can knock it out really easy with, like, Raikou Legacy, which is really hard to deal with. So I'm like, if I'm playing against Lugia, I'm probably going to try to avoid benching Palkia unless I absolutely have to, or for whatever reason the opportunity comes up. For the most part, I'm trying to avoid benching Palkia, because Lugia is actually not bad if you can take out an Archeops or the Minchinos quick enough, because Goldango's 260 HP is very tough to deal with. So when you're playing the Lugia matchup, try to kind of look towards knocking out the Chops or the Cinchinos if you can. And also, don't bench Pheasantipiti or Palkia unless you absolutely have to, because usually they end up getting KO'd by Raikou or Blood Moon really easily, or, Tempest Dive. Game 1 against Matthew, I lost game 1. He actually made a big misplay. He bench locked himself out of being able to go double Archeops, and he actually would have hit turn 2, like, Cinchino knocking at my Goldango with double Archeops, but he bench locked himself by accident. But I still ended up losing the game because it was really tough to deal with. He got 2 Minchinos down really early, and I bench locked myself from going Greninja because I didn't bench Palkia at all, knowing that like, if he's playing Raikou, I'm not benching Palkia. I kind of was like, I don't think I should put Palkia down against Lugia. I get, like, Amp for 3, or, like, Raikou KO Palkia is really bad. So I bench locked myself by playing Palkia down, but I couldn't deal with the 2 Minchinos, and it ended up screwing me over. Because I thought turn 2, he was going to just high roll the double Archeops, double Cinchino. So I'm like, I'm not going to bother going for the Greninja line. Though I should have, because had I went for that, I probably could have, put myself in a good spot. But I ended up losing game 1. Game 2, I won. Game 3, unfortunately, we went to time before we had enough time to play game 3 out. And looking at game 3, it was looking good for me because he had a really bad start. Like, I'm talking, he didn't get turn on Lugia, and I had a pretty good start. I had a lot of Pokemon down. My hand was like double Goldango Cypher Maniac. Like, my hand was really good. I had a really good hand, so it was looking decent for me in game number 3. But unfortunately, we ended up tying because we just didn't have time to finish. Is what it is. I think my mistake was not scooping game 1 quicker. I played game 1 out when I shouldn't have, because I had, like, a turn where I KO'd a Cinchino. I KO'd a Cinchino, and then I KO'd a Legacy Energy Lugia going down. So I was like, okay, I can go 2-2. But he went with another Cinchino, and I KO'd the Cinchino because I'm like, well, I need to deal with the Cinchino. But I had Pheasant play. I should have just scooped that game quicker, and maybe we could have won or whatever. So this is what it is. But yeah, GG's. And then, of course, Round number 3, I played against Chance, who was a pretty cool dude. All my opponents were super chill, by the way. I loved them all. Chance was a Travis Scott fan. I was wearing a Travis Scott hoodie, and he was a big Travis Scott fan, so that was pretty cool. He was playing Palkia Dusknoir. Game 1 just completely bodied me. Like, I'm talking, I didn't put Palkia down because he went first. You know, he won the coin flip. The best part about playing this format, my opponent won the coin flip, right? So I went Bidoof, Quad Gimmighoul, Greninja, pass. His turn 2 was double Dusknoir, Greninja, take out all my Gimmighouls in one turn, and I'm like, what? Like I was like in my head, I'm like, that's the end of my tournament run, bro. Like, I'm gonna go next in this game. I maybe win it because I go first. Game 3, he's gonna just do the same thing, and I'm done. That's it. My tournament run's over because I lost the coin flip. This format is garbage. But no, that didn't happen. So obviously, I immediately scooped game 2. Yes, I won because I went first. He had a really insane, I think it was game 2, or it was game 2 or 3, where he had a really good turn where he went like double Dusknoir, put me down to 1 prize, Iono's me to 1, and then Blood Moon Ursa Luna's me. And it was kind of scary, but my board was just one single Goldengo, and he had no way at all to knock it out. I was on 1 prize, so he can't pop Dusknoir. He had no way to one-shot Goldengo. So all I had to do was try to draw into like a superior energy retrieval because I hit the bear for 100 damage. So I'm like, all I got to do is build up a hand and get to superior. So he went like Rotom instant charge, and then I drew Iono for top deck. I owned him to a small hand, coin bonus, hit me for 240, with bear, and then I coin bonused into a retrieval, and then I went retrieval for a game. So it was kind of an insane game 2. It was either game 2 or 3 where that happened. I can't remember everything, but I ended up taking game 3, thankfully, because like I said, he did win the coin flip. So literally this game could have been decided on the coin flip alone, because if he goes first, he can probably take out every Gimmighoul on my board, and potentially the Palkia, which is why I don't want to bench it, because he could take like a 4 prize. I'm trying to avoid him taking 4 prizes in one turn. I think game 3, he Dusknoired my Palkia at one point, and he put me on odd prizing, so I went KO Luminion with Prime Catcher Goldango, and then, I did, it was like Palkia or whatever. Either way, I took 2 prizes. Or I think I Greninja Duscalls or something like that. Either way, he popped the Dusknoir on my Palkia to put 13 damage on it to probably bear it later on in the game. So what I did, because I was on odd prizing, I went 2-2. And then at the end of the game, he couldn't go Dusclops, which is what he was trying to do. And I'm on 1 prize. I think I played against 2 Palkias in a row. But either way, like, point is, I'm pretty sure I weighed myself go down to like odd pricing or something. It might have been this game or a different game. I can't remember. But what I will say is game number 4, I hit another Palkia Dusknoir back-to-back, where once again, guess what? I lost the coin flip. But game 1, he had a really bad start, which was, good for me, because then I set up and won really quickly. He scooped. And then game 2 was a bit different. His start was a bit better, but he wasn't able to get like an instant. This actually might have been the game I was talking about, actually, where he didn't get the board wipe, and I had Palkia down this time, but I think what happened was he Dusknoired my Palkia for 130 damage, and then because I went on odd prizing, I just went 2-2, and then denied him the ability to ever one-shot a Goldango at the end of the game, because he can never pop a Dusknoir. So that was that idea. Or was it this game where he went Iono? I forget. I can't remember, but it was one of these 2 games where my opponent did like a triple Dusknoir turn. No, it was definitely round 3, because I do remember round 4. Okay, it was one of the 2 rounds. Either way, we ended up winning, but, Alex was super chill, really cool opponent. All my opponents were really good, obviously. And then round number 5, we hit Nathan, who was playing Raging Bolt. Really good set. He had a turn where he went Sandy Shocks into my Gimmighoul, which was obviously really good, because you go push 1 prize to active, forced me to find Prime Catcher. Thankfully, I already had Prime in hand, so I was able to go 2-2-2. I think it was 2. It might have been a 2. I forget if it was 2-0 or if it was. We went to game 3. I can't remember exactly. I know we did get close to going to time, or we did go to time. But it was a really chill opponent, really good set. The Raging Bolt matchup isn't bad. Essentially, if you don't start Fez or Palkia, the matchup's pretty fine, because you can essentially put a bunch of 1 prizes on the board, like Bidoof and a bunch of Gimmighouls, and then you wait for them to take the knockout, and then you can bench Fez and then like start snowballing, and then hopefully respond in a KO and a Bolt. The one thing I will say, though, is that Bravery Charm makes this matchup even harder, because that early turn Bravery Charm Raging Bolt is not easy to knock out. It's really hard to do 300 damage with Goldango right away, so it's kind of annoying. So maybe Jamming Tower goes back in the list actually after this tournament, because Raging Bolt Triple Charm did win. Round number 6, and this is, of course, where my tournament ended. I had to win out, and unfortunately, round 6, I hit Quad Thorns, which Not a good matchup. I was like, yep, there goes my tournament. It's not okay. It's not the worst matchup ever because essentially, if you can find energy really quickly, you can one shot the thorns because then your superiors become live. The problem is your deck doesn't do anything for half the game because you can't play Goldengo's ability. You do have a canceling clone, but you have to find it. And game one, I like mega bricked. He lost city'd all of my gimme ghouls before I even got a Goldengo out. Then game two was a bit better, kind of, not really, because he still just rolled me. I got Bibarel out really quickly, but his turn two, he went double Pokegear, found the boss, attached DT raw from hand after the turn one Turbo Energize, and just bossed my Bibarel immediately, and I'm like, that's the end of the game. Like, I don't know if I could win from here. Like, it was really bad. Like, KO the Bibarel was, like, diabolical. I had, like, no way to win after that. So, yeah, turn two knockout of my Bibarel cost me, like, the game, basically. And, yeah, it put me out of contention. Really chill opponent. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like, I lose 2 games and I'm already out of day 2. It just felt really bad. I don't know, man. Like, the tournament structure is just kind of grief. And I was like, yeah, Quad Thorns, man. Like, it is what it is. So I played it out because I'm like, well, I can still get CP if I win my next 2. So round 7, we ended up hitting Raging Bolt. Really fun opponent. We were just kind of bantering the entire game, pretty much. We bantered so much, we actually almost went to time. But I was able to win both games. Basically the same thing. Single prize board state, 2-2-2 as soon as they take a knockout. That's essentially how the game went. And then round number 8, we hit a Dragapult deck. Actually, really, really fun opponent also. Like I said, all my opponents this weekend were, like, super chill, super fun. Like, even if I lost, I was still having, like, a fun time. Like, we basically just bantered the entire time. And I hit, I think her name's Lady Dunsparce, if I remember correctly. She's also, like, a content creator, she was telling me. And it was her birthday, so yeah, happy belated birthday once again. So it was pretty cool. She was on Dragapult, which I think it's a fine matchup for my deck. Basically, like, okay, yeah, they can take 4 prizes in one turn with Dragapult by going, like, 260 on, like, 2 Goldengos, blah, 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 or, like, whatever the case may be. They could play Devo. They could have, Radzar in the deck, whatever. Honestly, I think the matchup's fine. They don't play Manaphy anymore, so if you can Greninja them really quickly, it's pretty good. You can take out the low HP Pokemon on the bench. You can, if you can blow up the crystalled Dragapult before they get another energy down, you force them to find Crispin, which is really good, too. So I think the matchup's actually fine. Because you can go, like, around the Dragapult and then, like, blow it up at the end of the game or something. Game 1, unfortunately, she had a really bad start, and I won with, like, Greninja really quickly. And then game 2 was a lot better. But I ended up winning game 2, but it was actually very, very close. So what I did was, basically at the end of the game, her board was Dracloak, Duskull, active Dragapult with the crystal on. So what I did was, I was like, okay, so I'm either going to win the game by knocking out the active with double retrieval, or I'm going to Greninja for game on the bench, because I was down to 1 prize, 2. Yes, I was down to 1 prize. So, yeah, I was either going Greninja for game or knockout active for game. So I benched Palkia V. I didn't have another bench already, so I benched it early. Or I benched it the last turn of my game, the second last turn of my game. Bench Palkia, and I'm like, okay. So my win con is either I KO the active. If she evolves into Dragapult on the bench on her other Dracloak, because she has a Duskull in play, she has to go Dragapult, Candy Dusknoir to, like, stop me from doing the Greninja play. But I'm forcing her to have the nuts in order to do that. So I did. So I benched Palkia. But then she went Radiant Alakazam, Counter Catcher, Iono to 1, and then kill the Palkia. It was like 3 prizes. So effectively, I had to win on this last turn off the Iono. I'm like, was that the right call? But I had Fez in play. Don't think I had Bibarel. I can't remember if I had Bibarel. I know I had Fez in play. I think there was a Pokestop in play too, and I had 2 Goldengos in play. So I was like, okay, I need 2 retrievals. Now, she Iono 2 retrievals to the bottom of the deck, but I had Buddy Poffin in hand off the Iono, so I Poffin, shuffle the deck, drew a bunch of cards, and I think I did, like, a Cypher Maniac or something. I did something to guarantee the double retrieval, and then I guaranteed myself enough cards to discard so that I can go double energy retrieval, because you still have to have a decent sized hand to do double retrieval to take a knockout. But I had enough cards in my hand. Oh, I had Greninja in play too. Greninja, I drew a Night Stretcher, and I Greninja Night Stretcher. They got me into the way to get their double retrieval, I think was what happened. And then, yeah, I went double retrieval, knockout, Dragapult for game, and that was it. That was the tournament for me, basically. Like I said, GG's to all my opponents. Every single one of them was lovely. Like, every game we were just chilling, talking, having a good time, bantering, whatever the case may be. It was a pretty good time. What was not a good time, though, was starting off 0-1-1 and effectively having to win the next 6 games to make day 2. Felt really bad. I'm not gonna like. I get the purpose of the new tournament system is like they want to make it harder to make day 2, and they also want to make it so people in day 2 are like just having the best records, so they're playing like the best decks. Like no random like jank stuff makes day 2 out of nowhere, out of like a 6-1 record. But I don't know, it just feels bad being knocked out of the tournament really quickly like that. Like I know it happens to everyone. Like you could literally start a tournament off 0-3 and not make day 2. I don't know. It just feels a bit different this time around. You know what I mean? And obviously, the big deal was that everyone who went X2 into day 2 had no shot of making top 8 because top 8, everyone was at least an X1 record. So there's no way you can make top 8 at X2. Like Alex Szymanski won 4-0 in day 2 and did not even make top 16, which is diabolical. So what should happen is that the entire top 8 should have been everyone at the X2 record at asymmetrical cut, which is just, it's insane that that happened. So that's one thing they do need to actually fix is that point system. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about that on Twitter for the next couple days because it was kind of insane that that did happen. Like actually just insane that that happened. But overall, yeah, Louisville was fun. Tournament system might need a bit of an overhaul or a bit of a change. But I enjoyed it. Louisville's a fun city. The bars are pretty cool. There's a little like area by the convention center that held like the bars and stuff. A lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people, and had a good time playing Goldengo. Again, I'm not a big fan of the format overall. Like I would personally rather not play this format if I had the option to. But you know what? I played a deck that I enjoyed, and I had fun at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. Even though it felt bad starting off the tournament at a bad record, and potentially just immediately, like a tie and a loss immediately makes me like almost impossible to make day 2 if I lose one more game or tie. Like it feels bad, and like having to do gentlemen so early in the tournament, it's like super diabolical. But you know what? Had a good time, had fun with all my opponents. Which is all that matters. And I had a lot of fun. Got at least a bit of CP. Like I said, it was not able to make day 2. A little sad about that, but you know what? We had fun this tournament, and Goldengo is really good. Now, am I going to play to LEIC because I'm going to LEIC, and LEIC is still going to be in this format? I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. The other deck I was considering for this tournament was Maridon. Because it looked pretty good, and I didn't want to swap last minute to Maridon. I was doing a little bit of testing with Drago, Double Temple, Noivern, but I was like, yeah, I'm not playing Drago. I'm just going to stick with Goldengo. I mean, I stuck it out. I literally, today's YouTube video on my main channel was me saying that I'm playing this deck to Louisville, so I'm like, well, I can't just do a last-minute swap Rooney. So I'm like, all right, whatever, we'll play Goldengo. We'll send it. This is the most fun deck in the format for me. I don't enjoy this format. This format sucks, and I'm just going to play something that's fun, and I enjoy playing Goldengo is that deck. That'll be it for me on today's video. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, thank you all for everyone who came up to me at Louisville and said hi. Met a lot of cool people this weekend. It was a fun time. Hopefully, I'll see some of y'all in LAIC. And then probably later, going to be a video looking at all the day 2 decks at the tournament, obviously. The usual Louisville day 2. Some interesting stuff actually was in day 2 from what I've seen so far on Twitter. There's like a Zapdos in day 2 that like I don't think anyone's seen before. I don't know if Okie Dokie made any day 2, but there's an Okie Dokie deck on stream round 1, which is kind of cool. I don't know if they made day 2 or not. But yeah, I'm excited to look at that. Kind of talk about the results, how like Lost Box almost won the regional, how Raging Bolt won a regional. Crazy stuff. Subscribe down below if you're new here to the second channel. If you haven't already, we're on the road to 18K subs. And I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.